Can I have with us tonight? God is good and God is good all the time. My name is Sermon Gerald Spears. I'm here to give you a word on tonight. And this is going to be the continue on from yesterday. The golden cat out of God. So on Exodus chapter 33, verse 1 through 6. Now this is the continue when the Israelite had sinned, when making a out of God while Moses was on top of the mountain. So the Lord told Moses, leave this place, the people, go up, to the land I promised, you know, to Abraham. He promised that land to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, but he said he gonna give it to their offspring because they all were in age, so God knows it was gonna be their time to depart. So saying that he will send his angels, because right now God is mad. God is mad because he done told them, don't worship, false gods. And while Moses up there, they down there, um, making folks had errands to make folks gods. So God had told Moses, now you go ahead on down there and deal with those people. Y'all go ahead on, to the land that I had promised Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Saying that now God said he not going. That's just how mad he is. He not going. He said he gonna send his angels ahead of y'all, and drive out the Canaanites, Ammonites, Hizonites. So God said he gonna send his angels ahead of y'all, and they gonna drive out the Canaanites, the Ammonites, anybody that's in there, they gonna drive them out. So going to the land flowing with milk and honey, but God said he will not go with you. So he mad with the Israelites. So he said he's not gonna go. He's not gonna go with them. So when God present, it's not with them. They're his chosen people. But they sin behind his back. So he said he's not going, but I'm gonna send my angels ahead of you because you are stiff necked people, and I might destroy you on the way. Now God say I'm not gonna go, because on the way I might destroy you. Because I went through so much trouble, trying to teach y'all about how to live in the land. And soon as Moses go away, so quickly, y'all turned away to false gods. So God said, I'm not gonna go, because if I go along the way, I may destroy y'all. So now while God was talking to the Israelite, he heard while God was talking about the Israelite, they heard the distressing words, and they began to moan, and no one had put on their garment. Because you remember the last time they was afraid of God. They was afraid, and I don't know how they're gonna turn around and sin, and then knowing they already were afraid of God in the first place. So you are God said y'all is a stiff neck people. So God said if you go for a moment, God said if I go for a moment, I might destroy y'all. Because God changed, he changed his mind in a minute. He'll change his mind in a minute. He might say he's not gonna do it, but if you go along with that ride, you know, he might change his mind and destroy. He said, in the moment, I might destroy y'all. He said, on the way, I might destroy y'all. So he said, I'm not going to go. Now, he will decide what to do with them. He said he will decide what he's going to do with them. And the Israelites strip off their garment. And now God need a moment of pause from the Israelite right now. Moses interpreted on behalf of the people, so that God will not destroy them. So he gonna this gonna be the second time. He gonna go to God and he gonna plead for the Israelite again. That is his people. That's why God said you go down there and deal with your people. So God is contemplating, a judgment that is just as devastated. So God threatened to lead the Israelite, to journey alone. So that made him just that mad. So God's saying, he might, threaten to leave your journey, alone. So send in his place the angels to go before y'all. So Moses know the blessing of the friendship. Him and God is friend. Remember, God, he saw the back of God. Remember, they sit down and they ate and everything. So with God, so he begged God to stay near to him and to the people, because without God present, you'll be destroyed. You'll be destroyed. So he recognized that unless God present, you know, Israel is no different from other nations. And just like us chosen, we have a shield, over us. But if God choose to leave His presence, and His presence no longer around you, we just be like ordinary person. That's what Moses telling us. You're gonna be just like an ordinary person, in the nation without God present. So that's why Moses begging God, to come with us on a journey, because without your presence, we will be destroyed. Look how the Ammonites, soon as they came through the desert, look how they start attacking them. And with God present and God help, they defeated. They defeat them. But without God present, you know, they will not defeat no one. You know, they will be like an ordinary person in the nation. So that's what Moses is telling them. So he recognized that unless God present, Israel is no different from other nations. In that vulnerable condition, they will easily be destroyed. And you're right. You will be easily destroyed without God present. It's God that save us. You know, it's God present that make a whole difference. Without God present, you saw how Saul acted. Saul is acting crazy because the spirit hadn't left Saul and went on to David. And so Saul wasn't protected. If he was protected by God, him and his family would have never got destroyed. So now without God present on our journey, we are destroyed, because we will be just like regular people without that shield. A chosen one, favor, you have that shield. Without God present, that shield is no longer around. So that's why Moses trying to plead with God, because it's like it's their journey. You wrote the journey out. And now you don't want you don't want your presence to go, because they hadn't sent. And God was disappointed because He had just told them not to do certain things, and they did it anyway. So He also know that unless God present is active, with them, they will not experience God favor. And that's absolutely right. Without God present, Israel is favored. Without God present being active, helping them with that war. Just like when what you call them came after them. It was God helped them defeat the Ammonite. It was God power that helped them. And that's when Ammonites had to realize, well, wait a minute. We done mess with the wrong people. They got God fighting for them. Even people know God present. All kind of stuff can happen to you. And you still be standing. That's God's shield. That's God's favor. That's God's protection. Without God present, and all kind of stuff come at you, you will be destroyed. So Moses trying to plead, so God graciously give Moses more than he asked. He would go with them, so Moses plead with him, so God changed his mind. He said, I will go with them, and he will give them rest. Confidence in the future that only God present, we can get victory. Without, we will be destroyed. I'm in a predicament now on my journey. And I have, God present. But if God present wasn't around me and wasn't active, I would have been destroyed a long time ago. You know, so that's what Moses trying to tell God. The Israelite is favored, but without your presence and without your presence being active, you know, they will be destroyed because they will be on earth as a regular person. That's what Moses said. They will be like a regular person, you know, in the nation. You know, so when the war break out without God present, they will automatically be destroyed. You know, so we're gonna look at Moses and the glory of the Lord. And that's gonna come from Exodus chapter 33, verse 12 to 23. You know, so now Moses, you know, is speaking out to the Lord. He's still speaking out. Now he don't know all he can to keep on trying to help, you know, the Israelites. So you telling me to lead these people, you know, but Moses said, who coming with me? He said, lead these people. Well, he said, who coming with me? You know, you telling me to go. You know. So Moses said, you know my name. Moses told God, you know my name. You know, and you have favor with me. You know, and now Moses is testing God. You know, and if you please, Moses said, if you please with me, you know, teach me your way, so I may know you, and continue to find favor with you. You know, cause he see how God is like taking His presence away from the Israelites. You know, so Moses don't want that to happen to him. He said, I see you got favor with me. You know, so he said, I wanna continue on having that favor with you. He said, teach me the way, so I may know, and continue on having a favor from you. You know, because he see how quickly God had turned away from the Israelites. So Moses don't want that to happen to him. You know, so Moses also let God know, remember that this nation is your people. You know, so the Lord replied, my presence will go with you, and I will give you rest. You know, so Moses also said, if you present does not, you know, go with us, you know, now God already said I'm going. You know, so Moses still won't go on and on. So Moses also said, if your presence does not go with us, you know, and you do not send us up from here, you know, so now God already said his presence will go with you, but Moses is trying to make sure. You know, so he want God to let him know how he would anyone to know that he's pleased with him. Now, see, Moses wants to know if God really pleased with him. And he also wants to continue on having the favor. So he said, what I could do to keep the favor on. You know, cause you know he see how quickly he turned from the Israelite, because Israel, and then God had told Moses, now you let them know. The next day, he said, let them know they had did a big sin, and that's why God has departed for a little while. You know, so he want God to let them know, you know, that he would that he know that they are pleased with him and with your people unless you go with us. You know, so he wants to let the Israelite know that God is pleased with him. Cause God said, okay, I'm gonna go. So Moses wanted to make sure. He wanted to make sure. So we talk about God's glory. The Lord said to Moses, I will do the very thing that you have asked. Because I am pleased with you. God said I'm pleased with you. And I know your name. God said I'm pleased with you, and I know your name. So Moses said, now show me your glory. Now see, Moses still testing God. He still want to test God. He still want to know that God did not say I'm pleased with you. Moses want more. Moses said, now show me your glory. So now Moses wants to see God's glory. You know, first he wanna know how, if you really pleased with him. So now the Lord said, I will cause all my goodness, to pass in front of you. So God said y'all cannot see my face. But I let Moses see the back of me. So you want to see my glory? God said, I'm gonna show you my goodness. He said, I'm gonna pass in front of you. I'm gonna pass in front of you. Now God, God will proclaim my name, the Lord, in your presence. 'Cause remember last time he talked to Elijah, and I put that out, last year sometime. He told to Elijah, he told Elijah, I'm going to pass by you. God had to pass by him, and Elijah didn't even know. And Elijah just started standing up there, waiting on God. God ran to pass on by. And he didn't even know. So in your presence, you know, he will have mercy on whom I will have mercy on. And God will have compassion on who he will have compassion on. So we can tell God, who to have compassion on because he gonna do that on his own. So after God answered Moses, who want to see God glory? And Moses said, I want to see your glory. I want to see your glory. So then God said, okay, I'm going to pass you by right in front of you, you know, but all you're going to see is my back. So God will show his goodness, to pass right in front of Moses, but God said, you cannot see my face, So God said, I'm going to show my goodness, I'm going to pass in front of you. I'm just going to pass right there by you. But guess what? You cannot see my face. He said, you cannot see my face. For no one, no one may not see his face and live. So God said, you can't see my face, because I'm going to have to take you out then. You cannot live after you to see my face. So the Lord said to Moses, stand on a rock. God told Moses, stand on a rock. So when my glory passed by, God will cover Moses' eyes. You know how fast God is. He got power. She could do all this here, before your eyes, and he'll be to pass you by. But see what God said, I'm about to pass you by, and when I pass by, I'm gonna cover your eyes. God gonna cover his eyes with his hand while he passing by. And when he pass by, he gonna remove his hand, and all Moses gonna see is his back. So no one may see his face and live. The Lord said to Moses, told Moses, you stand on a rock. Cause God kind of short. You stand on a rock. So when my glory, pass by, when my glory, my goodness pass by, God will cover his eyes with his hand until he passed by. So then when he removed his hands, and Moses turned around and opened his eyes, Moses saw the back of God. He saw the back of God. And God said, his face must not be seen. God said, I know we friends. We ate together. So they must have ate together while his back was turned. Because God said, no one cannot see my face. My face cannot be seen. So he passed by and covered Moses' eyes. So time he passed by and had his back towards Moses, then he removed his hand from his eyes, and all Moses saw was the back. Because God said no one cannot see his face, and live. So now Moses saw God's glory. Saw the glory, the goodness of God. He saw everything, but the back, he didn't see God's face, but he saw the glory had passed by. So Moses wanted to see God's glory. And he wanted assurance. He wanted to be assured, of God's presence. See, he did all this because God said, okay, I'm going to go. You know how sometimes people can be mad and you constantly asking them, so they'll be like, okay, all right. So Moses wanted to make sure. He wanted to make sure, are you pleased with me? Are you really pleased with me? So if you pleased with me, show me your glory. So God showed him his glory, God showed him his goodness and everything else, and also, Moses saw the human of him. He didn't see the face, but he saw the human of God. And my God was sure. He told him, you stand on a rock so I could cover your eyes so when I pass by. And he removed his hand from Moses' eyes. Moses saw the back of God. You know, so I mean, he saw the glory. He saw the glory of God. So he wanted God. He wanted to be assured that you really coming with us, because without God present, and because Moses had said, if your presence don't be with us, it don't make no sense for us to keep on traveling on this journey. So God present was with them. Aaron, Joshua, and also he desired to know that his presence. So we cannot exist, and see God, as He is. To see God from the behind mean we can only see where God had passed by. So we can only know Him by what He does and how He acts. So Moses had wanted to be assured, that God is God. You know, because God said it out of his disappointment. I ain't gonna say anger, because God pretty much don't get anger. In his disappointment mode. He had hurry up and say, "Okay, I'm going." It was kind of like, "Okay, I'm going." Where Moses had to be reassured that you're going. Are you really pleased with me? So God said, "Yes, I'm pleased with you." Okay, show me your glory. Moses wanted to make sure that you're going. So God showed His glory. And covered Moses' eyes. Time he removed his hand from his eyes. God passed by with His goodness, His glory, His mercy, everything else. God passed by with His goodness. And Moses was able to see the back of God. So that was the story. The golden calf, to continue on the golden, the outer God, and then we went on the story that Moses had wanted to see God glory. So there were two stories I had told, and this also is still Bible study. Bible study. We're going from details to from chapter to chapter. So that's all I have for you on tonight, and I see y'all on the next video. Yeah, have a blessed night. Be safe, and I see you next time.